What's up, junkies? Welcome back in for another edition of Pigskin Junkies. Myself, Michael Larson, big brother Jared Larson, and Scott Panza here to talk what was a wild card weekend. Bet you won't hear that joke
good one.
1,000
Games were
times.
great.
They were really good.
All the games were great. I mean, the Eagles Seahawks was kind of blah. Josh McCown isn't what you signed up for, but the whole weekend lived up to the billing.
That was. Now I will say, the Eagles game, I had a dog parlay going, and truthfully, I didn't get it in. I was late getting to the table, and so I missed the Bills, which worked out in my favor. So I hit for underdogs, and then I was feeling good about Wentz and the Eagles, and then Wentz's head got sandwiched between ice cold turf and Jadeveon Clowney's head. So that kind of ended my dream right then and there.
That's all she wrote with that for sure. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, appropriate that the Eagles season would end like that with an injury. I don't want to go in reverse order. We can talk about it later.
Okay, so we won't go in reverse order. So we'll talk about circling the wagon here, and my goodness, did Josh Allen just short circuit at the end of that game? I mean,
you know what? There was plays to be made out there. First, the blindside block penalty flag was just egregiously bad because he didn't even pop the guy that bad. He was actually looking at him when he made the block. And then Booger, one of his many stupid comments was, hey, you don't want to do that. He's ahead of the play. It does no good. Well, how many times does a guy come from behind, tackle someone, and pop out the football? So more dumbness from him. But really, you know what? The Bills pitched that game. They were too conservative at the end of the first half, and they settled for 3 when they should have been going for a touchdown to really put it away. And then a lot of other play calls throughout the third and fourth quarter, too conservative. And, players make plays, and Deshaun Watson just made more plays, and they executed at the end. But yeah, super sad he's on that Bills game because they were up 16-0, and I was ready to start tweeting away about double chin Bill O'Brien going back to New England because we're going to need an offensive coordinator. But maybe he'll live to see another day.
Yeah, I think in terms of forecasting what was going to happen in the game, I pretty much hit the nail on the head. When Bill O'Brien had the reins, they were down 16-0 and were getting blown out at home in the playoffs yet again. And then Deshaun Watson says, give me the ball. I'm taking over. The Texans almost puked it because Josh Allen, short-circuited, and then Bill O'Brien has been the most conservative coach all season, and then he decides to go for it on 4th and 1 from like the 40 whatever, 2-3, I don't remember exactly. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, this is so off your brand. And then, of course, I don't get it. And, Josh Allen, a rather poor, let's just call it, last, say, 2.5, 3 minutes of that game. And as you said, Deshaun Watson just made plays. I said he's, in my opinion, a top 3 quarterback in the league. And single-handedly pulled them through to the divisional round. So I have already bet Kansas City. I will probably add to that position later in the week. But all the Andy Reid stuff, who knows what's going to happen with that number, but I already grabbed some -8.
I'm below 12, 13. I'm going to hammer away at the Chiefs. I really don't think that game will be all that close.
Couple football guy comments real quick on the end of that game. One, I haven't seen somebody try and do what Josh Allen did with the flip behind the head thing since Reggie Bush against Texas, and we all know how that ended up. And then which there was still like a minute and a half left in the game. Like, you're flipping it to try and score a touchdown almost, like it's the last play of the game, and you have so much time left. And then number 2, which I thought was crazy and was kind of a cool clock management moment because I don't think you're going to see many like this. One, don't listen to Booger when he told you to run a draw play and spike it when it was 3rd down. And then number 2, when McDermott thought they were short and there was going to be 4th down, so they're going to have to run the field goal unit out there.
Oh, yeah.
So then they end up saying it's a 1st down, so he goes to spike it. Well, the smart thing to do is have the field goal unit out there ready to go. Now, what you would think is then you're going to have to sprint the offense onto the field to then run your next play if it is a 1st down. And they send, because I was like, well, are they going to spike it? How are they going to do this? Send the offense out and spike it. You're going to lose a lot of time. And then, so McDermott finds out it's 1st down. The punter, who's the holder, goes up and takes a snap under center from the long snapper and spikes a football. I mean, plays you won't ever see ever again in crunch time. It was pretty unique moments.
A lot of these coaches just start drooling on themselves when the game is on the line, which is like mind-numbing to me. Yeah. Outside of Belichick, I will say, who's almost unequivocally prepared.
Well, McDermott had to play it that way. That's what I'm saying. It's just like that. He played it as best he could, but the scenario in which he was in was just awful. And that's just the situation that came of it. Then, so we'll move into the nightcap of that game, of the AFC games. Scott, I'll let you dive into this and just kind of give us your deal.
Oh, man. Pretty frustrating to watch. They came out. The offense looked like they had a solid game plan, but Derrick Henry ran all over them. And they just, they made a few more plays than we did. I really, really disliked the punt with 3 minutes left when they had 4th and 6. But, Julian Edelman has a 1st down in his hands, drops it. So it's just kind of the way the season ended there. Just couldn't get the offense going. And not like it would have mattered. There was no way they were going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs, or, if they got lucky in that one, then going into Baltimore and beating the Ravens. So, a lot of hot takes this week. Dynasty's over. They said that in 2015 when we lost to the Broncos, and then we went to 3
They've said that before.
Yeah, they say it every year. It's the Perma Bears, the Perma Bears, the Perma Bears. Then the hot take I'm hearing right now is that the Brady's going to go to the Chargers or the Raiders. So he's going to go to 2 dumpster fire organizations. One has no money and is moving. The other has no fans and just moved and going into a new stadium where they're going to be second fiddle. Absolutely not. I think that's craziness. I heard one idea that wasn't totally crazy, but still I give it a 2% chance, is that McDaniels goes to the Panthers and he goes and plays quarterback for him, but I don't believe that's going to happen. I think you'll see Brady back another year, get him some weapons, but unfortunately the Pats don't know how to draft wide receivers because we passed on Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown for N'Keal Harry, woof. So I don't know what they're going to do. They'll probably have to build through free agency, which they don't do. Maybe Eric Ebron's going to be a free agent and they bring him in, but they need tight end help. They need help on the outside. But the defense is intact, but we're going to lose some bodies there. So not surprised that they lost. I thought the Titans had the perfect game plan for them, and they still try to puke it away. But, that's how it is. Pretty sad to watch. But I did bet the Titans, so,
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't bet with your head, not your heart. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. I feel like I've kind of had a pretty good bogey on this Patriots team for the last 6, 8, 9 weeks. Not surprised by the outcome. They really had a tough time moving the ball, and Derrick Henry, the rest of the world, Micah, is continuing to get to see what a man-child this guy is. Like, he's just a huge dude and runs people over, and there's not a whole lot of stopping him. I mean, I guess what makes this Tennessee team dangerous as they head into Baltimore next week, and unfortunately Baltimore is better at doing what they do than they are, so I would expect Baltimore to come out victorious. But you can run the ball, they can play defense, and if you can put a hat on a hat, I'd take my chances with Derrick Henry versus a linebacker or a safety or, God forbid, a cornerback, because I think he can either outdo, he can run by him, run over him, run through him, run around him. I mean, whatever. It's one of those things. He continues to impress me with his talent, and Vrabel looked like a genius with the whole false start, delay game thing, and that's 2 minutes of time. That is a key cog and difference in Brady getting the ball back with 2 2 minutes instead of 12 seconds. Now, I thought it was a huge mistake to pull Edelman up and block the kick because I forget the stinking name of the kicker, but the Titans kicker is like Kerr and like top guy in coffin kicks all year. So I was perplexed by that decision. They did seem a little bit rattled by that end of game stuff, which again, as I said, is very un-Belichickian. But great game plan. Yeah, I mean, the Titans went down on that first drive and then right again before halftime, and then it was just knock down, drag out the whole second half, take the air out of the ball.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the second half. I'm not gonna lie. I was fighting it hard, and I was just waking up to my friend yelling.
Another wide receiver we missed on. He just put on a show tonight. DK Metcalf, who just torched the field tonight. He looked incredible.
There were a lot of people that were skeptical.
Though. On him would have been happy to have him instead of JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
I think so.
What was Ole Miss doing like 2 years ago? AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, like dudes everywhere. Hugh Freeze must have been smoking dope. Oh wait, that did happen.
Yeah, there was a lot more that was going on than just smoking dope. Yeah, I think he's shocked a lot of people though, Scott, DK Metcalf's performance this year. His progression, I should say, because I think everyone saw the talent, but they were scared with it's the Randy Moss, Chris Carter deal. There's things that come with the talent, and people thought he could only run a go route, and he's really developed in his route running abilities this year, and that just goes to show you that people who often have chips on their shoulders and everyone's saying that they suck tend to come out okay for the most part. Do we want to talk about that game since we're talking about it right now? Do we just want to talk about that one and then go to the Vikings Saints?
I mean, frankly, I don't think there's much to take away from the Eagles. I don't think it's, Carson Wentz gone in the first quarter. I mean, they battled. The defense played well. Seattle now going up to Green Bay opened at 3.5 and looks like it's up to 4. So that's. Yeah,
I'll be looking. Yeah, I'll be on the Birds next weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I got to think more about that one.
I'm not sold at all on Green Bay. Not at all.
I can't believe. You know what I can't believe, Micah, is that, and we haven't gotten to this game yet. We haven't talked about your boys, and maybe I should wait. But that spread opened at 6.5
against 49ers.
For the Vikings. Yeah. I can't believe that the Vikings are catching less points next week against the Niners than they are against the Saints, but we can get to that one.
Yeah, well, I'll say this too real quick. One, I know we love Danger Russ on this podcast, but he is the goofiest dude. Like, I was talking to one of my buddies, and it's like he's so positive all the time, it's almost like frustrating. You're like, stop being happy. Like, don't be happy all the time. It's angry. But post game they're interviewing him, and he's like, "Oh yeah." They're like, "Oh, so you're going to Green Bay next week?" He's like, "Oh really? Wow, cool. Yeah, going back to Wisconsin, huh? Yeah, awesome." Hey, what? Don't do that. Like he's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't even really put any thought to it. I just, I played football today. It was great. Had a good time." Don't be so casual. But I guess I'll ask this question. If you're an Eagles fan and if you're an Eagles front office, whole season, injury, everyone banged up. But at a certain point, do you have to start wondering with Carson Wentz if this is truly a guy that can be your franchise quarterback?
Too late. Already paid.
True.
Good point. I think tonight was a fluke injury. They played every game this season, so I think he overcame a lot of that the injury bug throughout this season. It's just Jadeveon Clowney doinked him in the head.
Good doink.
Fluke.
It stinks. It stinks for the game because obviously it got over pretty quick in terms of the outcome with him going out. I think it's a fitting end to the Eagles season where they haven't been able to keep seemingly anybody on the roster healthy. I do want to point something out because I have been screaming, and I was, in fact, this evening screaming at the television when they showed Brian Schottenheimer because he's a complete moron. Listen to this. Russell Wilson. So this is Seattle rushing. Russell Wilson, 9 carries, 45 yards, with a 22 on one of them, so half of it on one rush. Homer, 11 carries for 12 yards, and I recall seeing one for 8 yards. For 12 yards. So basically, take that back. 10 rushes for nothing, 1 run for 12. Fat Marshawn Lynch, 6 carries, 7 yards, with a long of 5. So, they are continuing. This is exactly what happened last year. They are continuing to just smash the ball right into the butt of the guards. Catching DK Metcalf, 7 for 160 and a touchdown. Tyler Lockett, 4 for 62. Throw the ball, dude. Open your eyes. It's so painful to watch them just perennially underachieve on the offensive side of the ball. Just throw and start throwing and keep throwing. And if no one's open, let Russ run. This is not hard.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Well, fellas, I want to hear your thoughts about the upset on the Bayou.
Dalvin Cook looked incredible today, and I loved seeing Kirk Cousins drop a dime to Adam Thielen at the end of the game. I thought Kirk looked, he made enough plays. I'm happy for the guy because he's been getting taunted, all year that he can't win the big game, and he showed it today. So I'm thrilled for you guys. I'm thrilled for the Vikings, and I have a specific distaste for Sean Payton and the Saints, so I'm so glad that they lost. So that was just a little icing on the cake. So I'm thrilled for you guys in Minnesota. I mean, I had the Saints. I thought they were going to just light them up, and I thought it was the square side, and it certainly was the square side from what I saw today. So I'm happy for you guys. My wallet's a little lighter because of it, but I actually had the Vikings in a nice little tease today, so that all came through.
Ooh.
So,
You like that?
Yeah. Well, he said I got 3 words for you. Oh, I was juiced.
In the locker room?
Yeah. Zimmer gave him the game ball. And he was like, hey, we won as a team. And then he was like, I got 3 words for you. You like that? And everyone just went bonkers. It was phenomenal.
Well, he gave the game ball to Kirk Cousins because he couldn't give it to the entire defense. Defense came to play today. There's really no other way to say that. They were in. If you take Taysom Hill out of that game, I don't think the Saints move it at all. It was very, very impressive showing to me from the defense. Micah, of course, thought that I jinxed him because I said defense looks great, and then immediately following, the Saints hit the only play really that they had all game that wasn't called back for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Dalvin Cook looked great. I thought they had good run-pass splits. Guy that Mike has been screaming to get the ball to more often, Adam Thielen, all year. Unfortunately, really hasn't been on the field. He only played, I think, 6 games. Was able to get him in the offense. It's just a totally different offense with him there. I just don't. Kirk's not a deep ball guy, so if he can get Rudolph and running backs and Thielen all kind of in that 10 to 12-yard route range area, I think he's accurate enough to be able to hit some of these guys. Probably not the best news for Stephon Diggs, but he got paid anyway, so who cares? Mm-hmm. The defense travels. Zimmer is such a hard ass when it comes to playoff football, and they were immediately tackling these guys as soon as they caught the ball. So great job by the defense, kept them in the game, and they had the chance to melt, and they didn't, which is very un-Minnesotan of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were a few plays.
Dalvin Cook, almost saw.
I saw it for a second, and I literally screamed, hold on to the ball, and it just popped up in the air. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then, because live time looked like a fumble, 100%.
Couldn't tell, yeah.
And then when I saw the replay, I was like, oh, yes, thank you. That was unbelievable. But the pass to Thielen was phenomenal. There were a couple ones where Kirk needed to make a throw, and he climbed the pocket, took one in the teeth, and delivered a ball. Diggs was, I will say, when he was pouting, and then Cousins could have run for that first down. It was 4th and 1, and he lasered one in there to Diggs, and he caught it after he had been throwing a tantrum on the sideline, which was good to see, because if you're going to be doing that, then you need to put your money where your mouth is. I think I said it on the podcast, if the Vikings can find a way to shorten the game, I think they have a good chance at it, and that's exactly what they did. mentioned it. Defense was absolutely unbelievable, and that's without Mackenzie Alexander and without Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, yeah.
Are they going to be back next week?
Hughes is on IR, Mackenzie maybe. And then Rhodes got dinged up halfway through the game. So you had Sendejo coming down and like a nickel. It was a makeshift defense too. But the Hunter and Griffin got after it, and that was the difference maker. A couple uncharacteristic plays by Drew Brees in that game. Yeah, fumble and the pick was just like, what are you trying to do? But I mean, it was a nail biter of like Vikings style. But that felt good. The thing I did like was Zimmer in the locker room after the game saying, "Hey, last time we won a playoff game on like the last play of the game, we didn't play too hot the next time we walked out on a football field. So prep work for next week starts now. Like, forget about what just happened. It's time to go on the road again and play ball."
How about every game this weekend went under the total? Every game.
Really?
Every game moved up from the initial, and then everything got hammered under.
Then it just collapsed. Brutal.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, usually you don't see that. Mm-mm. And it was, I guess, depending on the Bills, well, yeah, 2 favorites, 2 dogs, depending on where you got it.
Well, the Bills game opened at 41. So that would have pushed, but it got bet all the way up to 44, which was an L.
Which was an L.
Yeah, and I'm saying like dogs and favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Bills opened at, if you got Bills at the opener, that's good. That's a winner.
I just still can't believe that Deshaun Watson got out of that. I mean, he had 2 Bill players on top of him, and he just slipped out.
That's what I'm talking about. Guys just make plays, and they had him dead to rights. That was a 3rd down play, and instead it goes 40 yards to the 10 for a chip shot field goal. Mm-hmm. So that's what players make plays.
Mm-hmm. Coach and players play.
So we got what's the game of the weekend next weekend? Because actually, I think this is an awful slate. I'm not excited. I think
that's what Mike and I were talking about before. These games are better because it's usually these are 8 really good teams, and then next week you're usually involving anywhere from 2 to 4 really good teams, like exceptional teams, I should say. And I mean, Baltimore, Tennessee as an example. I think both similar styles, and one that's just a lot better at that style than the other. Mm-hmm. So I think to me the most interesting matchup, and this is going to make people are going to think I'm a homer, is Vikings-Niners, because you have an extremely prolific offense versus a good defense. What we saw against the Saints, obviously. I'll watch Seattle because I love Russell Wilson, but I think that could be a real clunker. Mm-hmm. Baltimore, like I said, I think they'll blitz them, and I think the AFC is going to be 2 railroad games.
Yeah, I agree.
Cooked.
I'm just glad I'm looking at where these games are, that there's no ESPN game. So you get 2 CBS games and a Fox and an NBC. Mm-hmm. As long as I don't have to deal with Booger another weekend, because I thought Bills-Texans was game of the weekend. And I thought it lived up to it because it was just such a mess of a game. But you had Booger and Joe Tessitore calling the game. And, I would have loved to hear Romo call that game. That would have been special. Instead, you got Booger, just drunk Booger.
So when they announced the Vikings kickoff time, I was so ticked off because I got a wedding this weekend. Kickoff 4:35, wedding start time 4:30.
No.
Yeah.
I would just not go. Whatever.
I can't. There's a good friend from high school. That's not gonna.
Just don't go.
Just don't go. I already texted him.
On your phone.
I texted him. I go, hey, any chance you guys could change the time for your wedding? And he was
is
like,
there going to be televisions available?
He told me I have the green light to stream the whole time. And I gave him a hard time. He was like, yeah, I just made sure for the college football playoff, but I didn't really consider NFL. And he's a Dolphins fan. I was like, well, obviously you don't really
Not
take
in consideration.
postseason Dolphins football into consideration. Yeah. So, Good times.
Well, the title game is Monday. Next Monday.
I get that, but that's what he's saying is I was thinking of college football, not NFL. But hey, it's going to be a fun weekend. I do agree. I think that these games could all get ugly, though, quick. But we'll see. I don't know how much San Francisco is planning to play Minnesota.
It's going to be cold in Green Bay.
It is going to be cold.
Yeah.
That's been a fun one.
Just give me the Ravens
6:45.
Chiefs. I mean, the Packers are going to sneak their way into that. I don't know. Everyone's talking about how the Packers stink. They're going to sneak their way into the NFC Championship. And
The Seahawks stink. Their offensive coordinator should be fired immediately.
Speaking of OCs,
Incompetent.
Jared,
just get me Chiefs Ravens. That's going to be wild. I can't wait to watch that game.
That'll be a good one. I concur. Let's see Green Bay 10-day weather next Sunday.
sounding like Stefanski's actually going to get a head coaching job, and I don't.
With who?
I don't know.
Why?
I had my neighbor's a Panthers fan, and he was very excited. He's like, I hope we get your OC as our head coach. I was like, why do you want him? Hey,
This has happened before. See Pat Shermer.
Hold on. What are the open jobs right now? We got Panthers, we got Cowboys, we have
the whole
Browns
NFC East except for the
and
Eagles.
Giants. No, the Skins hired Ron Rivera.
Oh yeah, that's right. But anyway, yeah.
All
Open
right.
jobs
So
currently.
who's coaching those 4 teams?
Well,
Or do you have
McCarthy?
any- McCarthy? To who?
I don't know. I saw him
Cowboys.
and Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis interviewed for the Cowboys
dude.
job.
yeah. That's like, come on, dog. Marvin Lewis. 20 years of mediocrity and sub-mediocrity in Cincinnati. Let's sign up for that. I don't know. I feel like McCarthy's name's out there too much, and who I would hire would be totally different than who I feel like is going to get hired.
I think
These
Rule's going to the
knuckleheads,
Giants.
just retreads, continue to get head coaching jobs, and I'm like, how is this possible?
I think Rule's
like,
going to the
you're-
Giants.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I think Baylor will come up with some of that cash money green and say, "I stay here."
I don't know.
McDaniels takes the Giants job. I think it's perfect for him. That offense would hum.
You think he will? Danny Dimes, do Tom Brady.
I think he would have so many weapons there. He would go nuts for the first 2 years before he's got to go pay everyone.
Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever.
Do you think that McDaniels knew about Andrew Luck in that whole situation, and that's why he left Indy? That his arm
I
just
doubt
wasn't as good, or what? Because he would have had one season of Luck being healthy.
He would have.
If he turns down Andrew Luck, there's no way he's gonna go to Danny Dimes.
I think he turned down Jim Irsay.
That's probably a more accurate statement.
So go to the Maras, who don't meddle as long as you win.
Yep.
You don't want to go work for Tepper.
Unfortunately, he's going to have to go work with Gettleman.
Yeah, who's a mush.
I could see McCarthy in Carolina.
I'd love to see McCarthy in Cleveland.
I don't know who's going to take that Cleveland job.
Ugh, they're going to be really sadsies when they
I was
get
going to
it.
say somebody who's desperate, yeah. Someone who wants to be a head coach so bad and is okay with just making $30 million and
Winning 4
Not having a
times
job.
and then getting fired in 3 years.
getting fired and going somewhere else to be a coordinator.
Unbelievable.
Think about that. That'd be the most savage move in the world. Like the coach goes there and just tells his family, like, no, just stay where you are.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
I'll be home soon. It's just.
I think Sean Payton's kids still live in Dallas. I think he thought that was going to happen, and now he's still the coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Well, he's from there too, though, and I think that's kind of like a Texas thing. But fellas, that's our recap. It was happy times for one of us, sadsies times for one of us. But the guy who finally had
Saturday wasn't.
Saturday was a tough one, Scott.
Saturday was not fun. My Bills and my Pats both lost.
That's true.
It was ultra sadsies.
Well, just think about all those years and all those happy times that you've had.
Yeah, think about the 6 rings.
Yeah, you know.
One for
I
each
know.
finger.
People kept saying to me today, you can't win them all. I was like, well, this isn't participation trophy America. You can win them all, and it sucks when you don't.
And I want to.
And I want it.
I want
it
a
all.
feast. I want a bean feast.
I want to
There
see
you
the
go.
Bills Mafia get to the next round too. I just want to see them out in Baltimore going wild.
But you know who's going to see him in Vegas?
I was going to say, you want to know who's going to see him in Vegas? Hey,
These guys. And anyone who wants to join.
release.
It's true.
I'm going to be juiced. Hopefully it's like a Actually, no, I don't want a Monday night. I don't want that.
Yeah, don't wish that upon anyone.
That plugs up the schedule.
Everything.
And not a Thursday night either.
Yeah. With my luck, so the Vikings play Tampa, my luck it's going to be that same Sunday that the Vikings are in Tampa. You can quote me on that.
Put it in the archive.
Yeah. Hashtag freezing cold takes. But that's going to do it for our wild card weekend recap there, junkies. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Mike Larson. That's Jared Larson and Scott Panza. We will talk to you all on Friday.
Land of
Later.
the Rising Sun.